Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Kalamazoo City Commission to order for Monday, July 16th, 2018. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Cooney.
Present.
Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Sykes.
Here.
Commissioner Urban.
Here.
Vice Mayor Knott.
Here.
Mayor Hopewell.
Present. May we have a motion to excuse Commissioner Cunningham?
So moved.
Moved by
Support.
Commissioner Anderson, supported by Commissioner Sykes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. For our opening ceremony this evening, we will have an invocation by pastor and new grandfather, Dan Sacapato of Southern Heights Church. I ask that you stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening, Grandpa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and distinguished commissioners and residents. Eighth time grandfather today. And I'm often asked about my last name and where would that come from. And in my grandparents' country of origin, my name would be Sarkipato, and they would say it perfectly in Helsinki, Finland, where my grandparents passed through. And I must say I have visited there. I have caught a fish called a sarki, after which I am named, and I ran the Paavo Nurmi Marathon, both of which very minute events could have more substance than what happened in Helsinki today. But I'll leave that to your judgment to render. Psalm 121 says, I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Gracious God, you are the creator of heaven and earth. We acknowledge you. We pray for your blessing and your favor upon us. We pray that we may heed the words you gave to your ancient people Israel, that if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, will pray, will seek my face, and I'll heal their land. I'll restore my blessing. That's our request to you tonight. Grant that each who speaks and each one who renders judgment and decisions will be led by your justice, your wisdom, and your righteousness. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good evening, everyone. We are glad to have you all here. We are now on B3. Mr. Manager, we have some guests this evening.
Your Honor, this item is going to be postponed as several of Public Services staff were on vacation.
All right. We'll look forward to that next time. We are now at B4, proclamations. I will head to the podium. I believe Commissioner Anderson has a proclamation for Chupan and Sons 50th anniversary.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Is there someone here from Chupan and Sons? Please come forward. All are welcome. All right, when you're all situated there. Thank you. Thank you for graciously coming here this evening. And if a community is lucky, it has local entrepreneurs who engage in honest, hardworking business ventures and make those a success, and as a consequence, provide wealth to the community in terms of jobs and even more so commitment to that community. And you know, we're here tonight to celebrate the best example of that. Thank you so much. Here's the proclamation. For Chupan and Sons' 50th anniversary, Whereas Schupan & Sons was incorporated in 1968 by Nelson L. Schupan and will host a 50th anniversary celebration in 2018. And whereas firmly rooted in tradition with an eye on innovation, Schupan & Sons has evolved from a 6-person scrap metal recycler to an over 500-employee metals and plastics business, adhering to the simple value of treat our customers, employees, and consumers as we would wish to be treated. Schupan & Sons has received numerous accolades over the years. And whereas Schupan & Sons is dedicated to its corporate responsibility to serve the communities where they live and work, Schupan & Sons is a proud supporter of local education, athletics, cultural and relief organizations, programs, as well as a supporter to national charities and organizations. And whereas, as a third-generation family-owned business, Schupan & Sons is well-positioned for the future and poised for long-term continued success. Now, therefore, I, David Anderson, on behalf of the 52nd City Commission and Mayor Bobby J. Hopewell, do hereby congratulate Schupan & Sons Incorporated on this 50th anniversary and express our gratitude for its many contributions to the Kalamazoo community. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for recognize us for this 50 years. My father died in 1974, and I think he'd be pretty proud right now. The main thing is I have to thank an incredible amount of people that I worked with, my employees past and future. And Kalamazoo will be our home. We have grown quite a bit, as you know, and we're in a number of states and things. But Kalamazoo is where we'll be, and we're not building it to sell it. And we hope to give much back to the community that's been so good to us. Thank you.
You know, it was mentioned about the corporate citizenship of this amazing company and family. I like to highlight that a little bit. So, involved in Covenant Academy, making sure that that important operation that's helping young people find their path, involved with Momentum and all the work they're doing. I think you're one of the companies that takes Momentum graduates, and we need more. And Mark has helped get more. Big brothers, big sisters. And then, if you'll remember, we have children that learned how to swim in this city in our programs with our Parks and Recreation Department because of the gracious philanthropy of this family. So the impact is broad and wide, and those are just a few. Broad and wide and deep and important to everything we are trying to do with the vision we have through Imagine Kalamazoo, and certainly our work in shared prosperity. This family, this company, this community is supporting our greater community. And I wanted to emphasize that because we can say that a company's been involved in all of these things, but we know that these important works matter so much to everyone in our city. So thank all of you for everything that you're doing. And you're gonna be here a while, so we're gonna keep working together to do more. So thank you. I think someone wants to get a picture. are now at item C, adoption of the formal agenda. Commissioners, are there any changes? Anyone in the audience wanting to speak on items under the consent agenda? That item will need to be moved to the regular agenda. If you have such an item, please indicate at this time. Hearing none, Communications Manager Ritzman.
None, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item E, I will now open a public hearing to receive comments on an ordinance to rezone 37 parcels in the East Cork Street area from Zone M-1, that's Manufacturing Limited District, to Zone CC, that's Commercial Community District. Anyone wanting to speak at this open public hearing, please step to the podium. You'll have 4 minutes. Give us your name and whether you live within the city. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to adopt the ordinance. Is there a motion? Moved by Vice Mayor Knott.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Sykes. Discussion? Commissioner Anderson.
I just want to make a comment relative to this action, is that when these things come to us here and somehow if no one comes up to speak about it, you might have the impression that there hasn't been any engagement, no one's talked to anybody about it, but by the time it gets here, it's been through an extended process, I think a very thoughtful process that is driven by our hardworking staff who are involved with zoning issues here and are attempting to do the best job of bringing appropriate zoning adjustments and changes as we go forward here in the city and make sure it's a great place to live. So I want to thank staff for all that work. There has been a great deal of communication and outreach that has got us to this point today for us to act on it. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Any other comments, Commissioners? Clerk Boylan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Sykes.
Yes.
Commissioner Urban.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knott.
Yes.
Mayor Hopewell.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion carried. On the consent agenda, Manager Ritzman.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 12 items on the consent agenda this evening. The first item I want to give a little bit of clarity to. I know there was some question related to the address. I just looked on Google. There is some confusion whether it's 625 or 619. What I want to point out, it is Fire Station number 5. That's how it was bid, regardless of the address, but just wanted to clarify that. So first we have the approval of a contract with Calaward Group for the remodeling of old Fire Station number 5 located at 625 Douglas Avenue in the amount of $135,000. Next is the approval of a 1-year contract with Aetna Supply Company for the purchase of miscellaneous water inventory in the amount of $286,791.40. Next is the approval of a memorandum of understanding with Kalamazoo Regional Education Services Agency, Youth Opportunities Unlimited, in the amount of $750,000 to provide summer employment and training opportunities for City of Kalamazoo youth. Next is the first reading of an ordinance to create Sub-Area 9 of the Riverfront Overlay District and apply the sub-area to 45 parcels in the East Michigan area and schedule a public hearing for August 6, 2018. Noted that this is correcting an error made in January 2017 when language was omitted from a rezoning action for parcels on the east side of downtown Kalamazoo. Next is the adoption of a resolution of intent to create a corridor improvement authority in the North Side neighborhood, hereafter referred to as the North Side Cultural Business District Authority, and set a public hearing on the matter for September 4, 2018. Next is the adoption of a resolution approving the Fourth Amendment to the City of Kalamazoo's revised Brownfield Plan, Revised Plan Amendment 4, implemented and recommended for approval by the City of Kalamazoo Brownfield Redevelopment Authority following a public hearing before the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. This amendment adds 180 East Water Street to the Brownfield Plan. Next is the adoption of a resolution vacating the northern 105 feet of Forsman Avenue. Next is the approval of the allocation of 7 full-time equivalent 311 customer service agent positions to be phased in to employment between September 2018 and January 2019. Next is the acceptance of a 2017 Justice Assistance Grant Award in the amount of $85,242 from the U.S. Department of Justice. Next is the acceptance of a 2018 Grant Award in the amount of $43,264 from the Office of Highway Safety Planning for pedestrian and bicycle safety enforcement and education. Next is the authorization for the sale of 5 parking spaces on the alley behind the premises at 250 North Kalamazoo Mall to S&K Properties LLC, and finally approval of the minutes from the City Commission meetings on June 18, 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 12 and authorize the city manager to sign all documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
I move that.
Moved by Commissioner Urban,
Support.
support by Commissioner Sykes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sykes.
Yes.
Commissioner Urban.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knott.
Yes.
Mayor Hopewell.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion carried. Mr. Manager, the regular agenda, please.
First item is adoption of a resolution granting final approval of a purchase agreement for the sale of Lot 9 to Catalyst Development Company 12 LLC and authorizing the city manager or designee to sign all related documents to effect the sale. In your honor, I know Mrs. Patty Owens and the gentleman from Tower Pinkster would like to make a presentation, so I'll call them forward.
Jason Novotny.
Thank you.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening. So glad to be here on this auspicious day. It's taken a long time to get here. We're really happy to share a bit with you and with the folks out here about our new project that is slated to take place on Lot 9, or part of Lot 9. This development is going to be a 7-story, 290,000 square foot mixed-use building. It is going to reflect the diversity of the community in which it is placed. We are going to have as our anchor tenants Southwest Michigan First, Kalamazoo Communities and Schools, Warner Norcross and Judd, and the Kalamazoo Promise Institute, which we're all very, very excited about. The Institute will be expanding from its original 2 employees to 22.5 employees by the time that this building opens, to provide a host of supportive services to the children and families of the Kalamazoo Public Schools District. We're really, this is a very meaningful project for both Jason and his team and my team to be involved, and we're very blessed to be here. We will be featuring a 303 to 310 space public parking ramp will be integrated into the building. We will keep that open 24/7 for the public to park in, as well as for reserve folks that are tenants in our building and their surrounding buildings. We've worked out leasing arrangements with them as well. We will have 2 floors of residential. It will total 45 rental units on 2 floors. As I mentioned earlier, we are very committed to creating a diverse population within this building that does accurately reflect the diverse population of the community as a whole. As such, we've made a commitment to provide 60% AMI housing out of those 45, a minimum of 5 units. And then in addition to that, we will have 10 80% AMI, and then a blended 6 more units, a blend of 60 and 80% AMI. So we have 45 units, and 21 of them will be affordable workforce housing. Very excited about that. There will only be a couple of large apartments. Most of them are going to be rather small, I guess I would say, what people want. They will be affordable, they will be not fussy, they will be of a high quality, which is all we ever do. We're really hopeful that we will have an easy lease up of this building. I'd love to invite our designer, Jason Novotny from Tower Pinkster, to kind of lead us through just a real brief review of the design of the building.
Sure, yeah. Glad to do that. If we just want to tab through these slides, I can do that with the controller here, yes? Okay, great. So we've included some existing site photos of the Lot 9 property. So as many of you are well aware, it's a parking lot. Right now, this surface lot will be subdivided as part of the project. So there'll be the majority of the lot will be a new building that takes the place of the parking lot, a 7-story structure. There still will be a small lot that remains to the west side towards the Dewing building that's there currently. If I take you through the photos here just to give some context, we're looking at essentially 2/3 of that site would be built up into the 7-story structure. Through a series of floor plans, these are probably a little hard to read, so I'm not going to dwell on these for a whole great lot of time, but again, a 7-story building, as Patty mentioned, 3 stories of that internal are parking structure for those 300 plus spaces to serve the needs of the surrounding area as well as the tenants within the space. I think probably the site plan would be worth talking about for a minute. So there's some amenities that we're putting in here. So we are improving the alleyway, which runs to the south of the new proposed building and north of the Main Street East properties. So right now, that alleyway has some parking areas, but there's also transformers, electrical gear, dumpsters, and the like. We're going to bring all of those utilities internal to the building as well. So we're going to clean up the look and appearance of it. We're going to widen the alley out, and then we're going to put a snow melt system all the way around the building. So for safety and public use, it's going to be a much more accessible site to move around and through.
Mr. Novotny, can you give the streets just so you know it's not
Oh, I'm
simple
sorry.
to understand where we are? So, I don't think we have a pointer.
I don't think it'll work on this screen, but to the right-hand side of the color block, you'd be looking at Edwards Street, and then to the top of page is the Water Street. Just across that roadway would be the Arcadia Festival Site Park as a point of reference.
Thank you.
So we are going to also create a snow-melted corridor which would move directly through and along the west side of the building, which will connect up to the festival site as well as a way to encourage people to move from Michigan Avenue all the way through the site and then to the festival site property as well. These are some of the exterior images that we've been developing and we're sharing with the community. So the exterior materials of the building would be a blend of terracotta material, so a brick tone terracotta, and then a natural stone base, a travertine material for the bottom, which would be the lighter color. There's a lot of openness and glass because we're proud of what's happening inside the building. We want to show that off and invite people in to be a part of what's happening inside the building. So a lot of transparency and daylighting and connectivity as well. This would be the view which faces towards the Arcadia Creek Festival site. So this would be the north elevation. So you can see the glass areas are the areas which have habitable space, and then up above a little bit higher is the parking. So the parking's screened from all the main streets so that you won't see the cars. They're tucked in behind the programming. And then up to the top floors, you're seeing exterior balconies for the residential units. So we either have exterior balconies for all of the units which face to the outward of the site, or we have a common area terrace which is on the 5th floor for the interior units on the residential floor. So opportunities to be outside for all the people involved. This would be the view from Edwards Street, which looks at the parking entrance. You can see the cars coming in and out of the ramp. And just to the left of that would be the alleyway, which has been improved with some vegetation and plantscaping and outdoor seating areas for the public to use, and all that is snow melted. And the stair tower, which is in the corner, which would be where the public would access all the floors of parking as well. So easy to see, easy to find, and easy to get in and out of from that location on Edwards Street. Excuse me, and then a longer view from the festival site, again, just showing how the building presents itself along the site. We had a little sample of material palettes, so a couple of metal tones, some browns and some terracottas to fit in with the surrounding neighborhood buildings. That sums it up pretty well.
I'd be happy to entertain any questions for either Jason or I at this time.
Commissioner Anderson?
Building schedule, construction schedule?
We break ground, well, should you approve our purchase of Lot 9 today, we will be closing on the purchase on Wednesday of this week, and we will break ground next Monday. And it's a approximately 2-year build, so.
Other questions? Commissioner Say?
Yeah, so please, please, please forgive my ignorance as I try to understand numbers here, because this is not necessarily my area of expertise, but it is one that I'm very interested in. So AMI for this area I pulled up as around $52,000. It looks just over $52,000 a year. And then 60%, you said 60% or less dedicated, or no, I'm sorry, 60% or less of the AMI will be dedicated. There will be 4 units, 4 or 5 units, 5 units dedicated for 60% or less, forgive me. Okay, so I see that 60% would be $31,227 income. I don't know if you guys, I imagine you don't have these figures right at the top of your mind, but do I sound like I'm on the right track thus far? Feel free to tell me I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Okay, cool. And so then I guess, so how are we factoring in, I looked up, you know, I'm on Zillow.com, rent affordability calculator. What I'm trying to figure out is what do rental rates look like for somebody who's making $31,000 a year or less? Do you know? How do you figure that out?
Well, it's going to be roughly $1 a square foot or
Okay.
slightly less than that for the 60% units. It's going to
Gotcha.
be very affordable.
Okay. Perfect.
These units range anywhere from, what's the square footage for this?
550 square feet on the smallest side to largest being 1,300 and change. So none of them are really large.
Wonderful.
And
Okay.
some of the affordable units will actually be 2-bedroom units so that people can roommate up and try to create,
Yep.
like I said, we really want the diversity of the population in this building to reflect the diversity of our community as a whole, which
Absolutely.
nothing downtown really does right now.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I appreciate that quite a bit. I know that this project has been brought up here to us multiple times, and I believe this is the final time that we have any say in it. And you know, I've been asking questions, and so I really do appreciate this. $1 a square foot for a small apartment seems almost cheaper than what is available in the area. So I appreciate that. I do. You know, it's important to me that when we ask our partners in the community doing development to be a part of our community, that they do. So thank you. I'm happy to be able to support this. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
Other questions? Other questions for anyone that hasn't asked any questions? Commissioner Anderson?
I'm just going to tag on this question a little bit. The 60% is for a family of 4. That's adjusted for family size. So the income is different depending on the family size.
Gotcha.
So that's not 52 for a single person. It's adjusted for family size. It's area median income adjusted for family size.
So let me ask you this, because
Uh-huh.
you know way more about this than I do. So does that mean that this number changes then?
So while you two have your,
Sorry.
any other
Sorry.
questions for
I thought it'd be a
the
simple
developer?
answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else anyone in the public wanting to comment on this item, please step forward. You'll have 4 minutes to give us your name and whether you live within the city. Seeing no one, Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion? Moved by Vice Mayor Knott, supported by Commissioner Urban. Discussion. Do you two want to take us through that? I think it would be a good idea.
Okay. So The area median income is something that's established annually. We don't determine it locally. That's based on, a national evaluation of statistics. And it is the median income, half make more, half make less in area, for a family size. So if you just look it up quickly, what they're going to give you is the standard is the area median income for a family of 4. But it is different amounts depending what the family size is. And then if you want, so let's say that just to keep it simple and not have to do too much rounding here, it's about 50 grand for a family of 4. 60% of that is 30 grand. And then you figure out what is considered affordable for that family that makes 30 grand a year. Well, based on the affordability, calculations, the affordability standard is that family would pay 30% of their income for rent. So it'd be 30% of 30 grand, or 9 grand a year divided by 12. So that's just a real simple way to look at those calculations.
I so appreciate you, Commissioner Anderson. I did, when the first time you said it, I did not at all understand what you were saying, but I very quickly caught on, so thank you.
Other comments? So I just want to thank the developers, Ms. Owens and Mr. Novotny. These are true partners in our community. We had partners up earlier that we were celebrating in regards to some of their impact within our city. Patty Owens serves on our Economic Development Board, our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, and serves on the Downtown Development Authority. So she's engaged, she's a partner, she's working. Also, she's heavily involved with Starting Women That Care in this community that has given thousands of dollars to our city. And Jason, I can't even remember how many boards you've been on over the years, but there's been a lot. And serving sometimes because you're an architect, and certain boards we have to have an architect, so thank goodness we've had one that's lived in the city and been willing to dive into the work. So these are true partners, and when you talk to them, and when you talk to Ms. Owens about this project from the beginning, her interest and efforts to make this a project that really supports our efforts regarding attainable housing in this city, not just workforce housing, not just market rate housing, but attainable. And we've got our housing expert that sits here and, as you can tell, knows more about this than anyone else sitting up here for sure. I think this is a great project and gets to everything that we're trying to do. Again, supporting Imagine Kalamazoo, again, supporting our work regarding shared prosperity. So I just want to say thank you for being great partners. Thank you for understanding the importance of the work that you're doing and making our community better and being able to provide for folks that really need a place to call their own, a place that they can afford. So just appreciation more than I can say. Mr. Anderson.
I would just like to follow up and second the mayor's comments here a minute. And we recognize Shupan here tonight and the commitment they've had. And this is just another example of the commitment that's been demonstrated by local entrepreneurs through the form of Catalyst Development that have done quality project after quality project in downtown Kalamazoo, not necessarily waiting around for things to look a lot better than they were at any given time, but being there, helping save businesses that were key businesses downtown by doing real estate development that allowed those businesses to say, that's what makes it work. People taking risks, doing quality work here in town, and this is just another example of that. So it's totally impressive. And like you're talking about, residential units, that's fantastic. But when you're talking about the work that's going to happen here out of organizations that are devoted to this area that are going to be there, Promise Institute, unbelievable. This is an amazing opportunity here for some great resources to build on great things that are already happening in Kalamazoo. So thank you. I'm sure that, from everybody in the city of Kalamazoo for your continued devotion here to doing good work in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Urban.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knott.
Yes.
Mayor Hopewell.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Sykes.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion carried. Congratulations. Thank you. Item 2 under the regular agenda, Mr. Lynn.
Next, we have the adoption of a resolution prohibiting City of Kalamazoo resources from aiding the inhumane practice of separating children from their families at the U.S. border. And Your Honor, I've been asked to read the resolution, so I will do so. First, whereas on March 21, 2016, the City Commission affirmed by proclamation that Kalamazoo is a place where all foreign-born and native-born Americans can live, work, and play together, sharing each other's customs and ideals, and appreciate and promote cultural diversity. And whereas, with that proclamation, the city joined the efforts and spirit of the Welcoming Michigan initiative to lift up the City of Kalamazoo as a welcoming environment for all. And whereas, in the spring of 2018, President Donald Trump and Attorney General Jeff Sessions instituted and continued to defend a practice of separating children from their families at the U.S. border as an effort to intimidate asylum seekers and deter border crossings. And whereas, under this policy, between April 19 and May 31st, roughly 2,000 children were separated from their families and are being detained by the federal government. And whereas elected leaders of both parties at the state and national level have condemned this practice, called on the Trump administration to stop separating children from their families, and called on Congress to vote immediately on immigration reform measures. And whereas we agree with U.S. Representative Fred Upton that it's time for this ugly and inhumane practice to end. Now, it's never acceptable to use kids as bargaining chips in the political process. Separating young, innocent children from their parents is the wrong approach. The right approach is legislation to address the root cause issues. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Kalamazoo City Commission calls on Congress and President Trump to act immediately to stop the practice of separating children from their families based solely on the immigration status. And be it further resolved that the Kalamazoo City Commission hereby prohibits any city resources, including staff time, facilities, or funds, to be used to separate children from their families, to assist the other government agencies in separating children from their families, or to otherwise detain any individual based solely on their immigration status.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Anyone in the audience wanting to comment on this item, please step to the podium. You'll have 4 minutes. Give us your name and whether you live within the city. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Eva Alvarez, and I live in 5200 Croydon Drive, apartment 18104 in Kalamazoo. I am speaking today in support of this resolution. I am a member of Movimiento Cosecha Kalamazoo, which is a nonviolent movement that is fighting for the respect, the dignity, and permanent protection for all 11 million undocumented immigrants across the country. I am here today because every day after our presidential election in 2016, I wake up in distraught to the hard times that we are facing. Our immigrant community has been fighting against an administration and policies that are constantly deterring them from moving forward and creating a positive change into their life. This resolution is very powerful. Although family separation is happening all over the country and affecting many individuals nationally, I also believe that we can tackle this problem here in this very room. You all have been elected to represent my immigrant community and myself. I respectfully ask you to pass this resolution and to pass the message to my immigrant community that you care about them and that you care about their safety and future. Kalamazoo is a welcoming city, and I hope that we continue to send the message today, tomorrow, and whenever necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. If you'll also sign in after or before, that would help the clerk as well. Thank you. So, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Nelly Fuentes. I reside in Kalamazoo Township. I am here to encourage you to vote yes on this resolution. This resolution is needed in my community. It is not okay to separate children from their family regardless of immigration status. And the community is here to expecting a yes vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Pearl Brown. I live at 415 Hillbridge Street, Kalamazoo. I support this resolution. I grew up here with my community. I remember the root beer stand that was on Kalamazoo, and before the Christian Life Center was the Christian Life Center, and it was a store. That's how I grew up here. This is my city. And my community, they are my neighbors. They are my family. They are my friends that I grew up with. They are the children that my children get to meet every school year. They are the entrepreneurs and the employees that you meet and you come across every day. They are the people that I love. And this resolution would mean so much to my community. So I encourage you to please vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Diana McMunn, and I live in the city of Kalamazoo. I grew up in Papa, like all my growing up, and it was a very white community. And in the summer, I remember with my child's mind that sort of changed with migrant workers coming through. It was a safe space, and it was magical, summer was, and part of that was because of the language and the culture and the people who came through. And we didn't think much about it except that there was an assumption that many, if not all of them in our minds, were undocumented, because who would be picking all of those blueberries in the heat if they could do anything else? I moved to Kalamazoo and was part of the joy here was it was welcoming, and there was much more diversity, and that magic was sort of just here as part of this community. And there were a lot of Hispanic families that were permanent, and they were the families that we enjoyed festival with, we shopped with. I have friends that are part of that community now, and feel always with an assumption that many of the people that I know are probably undocumented in this day and age, and have always felt safe. Over the winter, in our Facebook page in our neighborhood, there was lots of talk about car break-ins and things being stolen out of garages, and that didn't even feel unsafe. It was just an annoyance that I had to remember to lock my car, remember to put my stuff up. And then a few weeks ago, or even before that, when there was talk of ICE coming into our city and our neighborhood, was the first impression that I got of it not being safe here. And it wasn't because of who they were here for, it was because who they were. They invaded our neighborhoods. They were in West Nitch Hill neighborhood for a couple of weeks, a few weeks ago. And that was the first talk in our neighborhood, on our page, and in my community, where we felt like we had people who were not safe to be around in our community. And I would like this resolution to say that we don't want bullying, terrorism, manhunting types of behavior and presence in this community, because it is welcoming, it's diverse, and it is a beautiful place to raise my child. It's a place I've never felt unsafe walking the streets at night, whether I should or not. This is the first time I have felt unsafe. And thank you, Shannon, for bringing up this resolution, and thank you for considering it.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Nehemiah Scudder. I live in the Rickman House in number 303. I'd like to say that I hope that this resolution will help President Trump to reverse himself as he has on other issues. It allows families to be reintegrated with each other. President Trump is he has a big mouth, that's true. But I think he's done some good things as well as bad. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Elvira Oropesa. I reside at 927 Piccadilly Road in Kalamazoo. And I urge you to support this resolution simply on the merit that most of us here have nieces, nephews, sons, daughters, and it is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Good evening.
I am Jody Dozman. I live in Kalamazoo. I've been staying at the Gospel Mission. And as far as some of these Hispanic things, I think it would be beautiful that the churches got together, and who would like sick people on the blueberry fields? So I believe their housing and their sanitation is very important to the blueberry fields. And as far as like mold, I've been at the Gospel Mission. And every time I spend a week there, nights in a row, I get very sick. You can see the mold in the ceiling. My voice is changing. It depends on how bad it gets. I'm coughing again. I'm starting to sneeze. And you know what? I just came from one mold pit. Had I stayed at Stadium Drive Apartments and been treated fairly, instead of one person pushing several people around and out of the apartment complex, I probably wouldn't be this sick. So just mold is really bad. So to be on the streets and the dangers.
Ma'am, I need you to address the resolution, please.
Okay. Now, that's what I thought. I'm confused with the public speaking and the resolutions.
We're talking about the resolution that was just presented by the city manager a few minutes ago. This is not the general public comment time.
Okay, that's what I need to learn when I get up here. Okay, are the moments. Excuse me, do I have another chance?
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else wanting to address this item? Seeing no one, Commissioners, requested action is motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Sykes.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Cooney. We're in discussion. Commissioner Sykes.
Yeah, so I want to first off thank city staff for getting this resolution on our agenda so quickly. I know it was brought up just at our last meeting, and I know sometimes these things can take time. So the fact that we were able to get that 2-week turnaround time is just something that I'm really appreciative of. So thank you for that. I would like to make just one very simple suggestion, and I guess I'd like to propose an amendment. That we strike solely from the last 2 paragraphs. I think that saying that, we will not detain any individuals based on their immigration status is enough. I think adding the word solely is a little bit of overkill, and I think it leaves too much opportunity for, how do I want to explain this? And I know that this would never come from Chief Thomas or, our officers that are employed right now, but I like to think for the long term. I think it just leaves too much opportunity for somebody to go against this resolution and pretend that it was for a different reason, if that makes sense.
Commissioner, was that your motion?
Yes, so I'd like to make a motion.
Okay. Commissioner Cooney, do you support?
I support the motion.
Further discussion?
What, on the issue?
Mm-hmm. On the
motion.
On the motion.
Right, on the motion that.
On the motion to amend.
Okay, so that was the question I had asked was, being that you were the motion maker, if that is your motion to have that change, and I thought she could just go back and amend her motion. Can she? I thought.
No, because it's been typed.
So the motion is to change the.
Okay, so now we're discussing the amendment. Can we just have the motion withdrawn and then someone remake the motion?
Well, it was originally presented with certain wording, so.
Correct, but we have the motioner that wants to make the change. So to me, it makes sense. Okay.
Can we just vote
Never
on
mind.
it?
I guess now we're going to go with the amendment. Is there discussion on the amendment? Commissioner.
Well, it would help me and perhaps help the audience to hear the way that.
Paragraphs?
What?
The two paragraphs?
Yeah, the part in question, the way it was originally worded and the change, read sequentially with the original first.
Let's just have the manager read it without it, and the audience and all of us can assume. He'll tell you where it's taken out of, and
Okay.
then you'll know that it was there.
All right.
All right, the first paragraph, it reads, "Now therefore be it resolved, the Kalamazoo City Commission calls on Congress and President Trump to act immediately to stop the practice of separating children from their families based solely on their immigration status." So the removal of solely there, so it'd just be based on their immigration status. And be it further resolved, the Kalamazoo City Commission hereby prohibits any city resources, including staff time, facilities, or funds, to be used to separate children from their families, to assist the other government agencies in separating children from their families, or to otherwise detain any individual based solely on their immigration status. So it would read, individual based on their immigration status.
Any questions, Commissioner?
No, it's clear to me now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Clerk Boiling, please call the roll on, this is just voting on the amendment, folks.
Commissioner Urban.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knott.
Yes.
Mayor Hopewell.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Sykes.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. So now we're back at the adoption of the resolution as amended. And we have a motion on the floor for that, correct? All right. I'm just making sure. It gets a little confusing sometimes. All right, now we're in discussion of the motion, the original motion. Commissioner Cooney, you...
So, okay, yeah, I think this is such a very important thing to do. It's so very important to speak out when people are dehumanized, as is happening with this. As of this morning, there were still 2,000 children, at least, who were separated from their parents. And this practice is inhumane, it's disgraceful, and it's abhorrent. This is not the first time that this nation has taken children away from their parents. It happened before with slavery, when children were ripped from their mother's arms and taken away, as is happening right now. It is speaking out against the dehumanization with which these people have been treated. They so considered these people unworth anything that they didn't even keep decent records about where these children went. So now they're having a terrible time trying to figure out where they are and where their parents are. This is totally against everything that we stand for as a nation. These people are human beings. They deserve respect. They have dignity, and they need to be treated as such. So I welcome this opportunity to be able to take a stand against this horrendous practice.
Commissioner Urban?
Well, I think what we have here is a specific example of how what we thought our nation's values were being directly challenged in a very cynical way. I think that it's time that we're beginning to realize that all of us have taken an awful lot for granted in this country. Many of us, including my grandparents, were immigrants, and I feel that they enriched our country a great deal, and I welcome all the enrichment that's gone on from generations before. And to all of a sudden, for cynical political reasons, use children as pawns in a game of chicken with the two parties in Congress is just abhorrent. I too welcome the chance for us as a body to approve this resolution. I hope we will.
Thank you. Further discussion from anyone that hasn't had an opportunity? Commissioner Sykes?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to read real quick. I got a postcard in my mailbox today as I was coming in to this meeting, and it's a beautiful postcard. I won't read the name just in case they'd rather I not, but it's very simple. It says, "Reunite children with their families today. End ICE terror. Where is the humanity? Shame. No local tax dollars to aid ICE." And I thought that really nicely sums up what this resolution stands to do and what our feelings are. And I really, really appreciate it being lifted up by a number of different people, how rich our community is with all of our residents. And I don't mean monetary riches. I don't mean, financial, capitalistic increases in value. I mean, I can't imagine my life without many of our immigrants in our community. I can't imagine what our community would look like without so many members of this city that make it what it is. And it's a place that I'm happy to raise my children and have a family for that reason. So I want to thank my colleagues for supporting me on this resolution. Again, thank you to staff, and I do look forward to, at some point rather soon, talking about how much terror it does cause for all of our residents, not just immigrant residents, when ICE accompanies us to some of our arrests and actions. And that's a topic for a later discussion, but I appreciate it being lifted up, and I'm excited to get to vote yes on this thing tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. I want to talk about this from a personal standpoint, especially when someone mentioned the root beer stand where I used to work as a little guy, but not only used to work there, I used to work there with Alejandro Caroso and Hector Caroso and Stella Caroso. These three individuals are products of an immigrant family. They grew up one street over from me on Phelps. I lived on Edwin on the east side of Kalamazoo, and I had the opportunity to meet them because I found a dog, a puppy, and one of my friends knew them and said, "Hey, I think that's the Caroso's puppy," and I went over there and it wasn't, and from there we've become lifelong friends. So they are my brothers and sisters. Their kids call me Uncle Bobby or Uncle Joe. Actually, I'll explain that another way. Yeah, can't believe I said it. And I'm at family gatherings, Christmases, and they are my brothers and sisters. And it's interesting to me that I look at these things from the standpoint of what do we lose when we're this stupid? I mean, just truly, what do we lose? We lose great people. We lose great opportunities. We lose some smart minds. Maybe we lose the opportunity to create a major entrepreneurial impact in our city or in our state or in our country. We lose. Yeah, I believe you have to have laws on immigration and all that stuff, but don't be stupid about it. And that's how I feel about it. So I know tomorrow I'll get all these emails, and I really don't care. They can come. But this is how I feel about it. We are a better nation because we welcome, and we are diverse, and we are different, and loony, and all those things that come with diversity and inclusion and all of that. We are a better nation. We are a better state. We are a better city. So I'm happy to support this resolution. Clerk Borland, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Knott.
Yes.
Mayor Hopewell.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Sykes.
Yes.
Commissioner Urban.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion carried. Number 3, Mr. Manager.
We have the adoption of a resolution supporting the Kalamazoo County Senior Millage, and again, I'll read that. Whereas thousands of seniors aged 60 and over in Kalamazoo County lack the physical, emotional, mental, or financial means to care for themselves fully, and on any given day, approximately 300 seniors in Kalamazoo County are on wait lists to receive essential services such as home-delivered meals, personal care, and homemaking chores. And whereas, despite the fact that over 50,000 seniors live in Kalamazoo County. Kalamazoo is one of just 10 counties in the state that do not have a senior millage. And whereas on August 7, 2018, voters in Kalamazoo County will have an opportunity to approve the Kalamazoo County senior millage to raise approximately $2.8 million annually for 6 years to provide essential, affordable services for these vulnerable citizens. And whereas the senior millage will provide for critical services such as adult daycare, home safety and repair, outreach to isolated seniors, volunteer escorted transportation, elder abuse prevention, money management, long-term care ombudsman, healthy living classes, and more. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Kalamazoo City Commission expresses its support for the Kalamazoo County senior millage and urges voters to support this millage on August 7, 2018.
Anyone wanting to speak on this item, please step to the podium. You have 4 minutes. Give us your name and whether you live within the city. Hearing no one, Commissioners' requested actions, the motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion? Moved by Vice Mayor Knott.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Sykes. Discussion? Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Mayor Hopewell.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Sykes.
Yes.
Commissioner Urban.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knott.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Motion carried. We are now at item H. Mr. Manager, you have a report this evening?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Mr. Attorney, you have a report?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Clerk?
No, sir.
Thank you. We're now at citizens' comments on anything this evening. Please step to the podium. You'll have 4 minutes. Give us your name and whether you live within the city. Good evening.
Hello, I'm Jody Dozeman. I do live within the city. Would you like to know the address? Okay, so I've been staying at the Gospel Mission. Like I said, when I stay there long, 4 or 5 nights in a row, my ears are flaking. I'm all sick again. My voice is gone. You know, and I'm like, this all stems off moving out of Stadium Drive Apartments, then moving into a place where I was told things didn't go well there, and I was misguided and told things that weren't true. And then I'm out in the streets and I get attacked by women left and right in that place, and just the uncleanness, the stress. You know, I got 100% on my stock market project in Ron Young's class, business class. I ended up writing up this project, a spaceship issue. The first half was inspired by my daughter reaching out. Now, she's entrapped. I can't get a hold of her. Her birthday's Wednesday. She's a great inspiration to the second half for me. I would love to have her at peace. All this commotion, I'm really seeking the right issues to look into and how to present myself. But like I said, from the Stadium Drive Apartments to the Halls residence where there was mold intoxication, and you got that information last meeting, to down there to City Commission, I haven't been able to get well. I think the criminal activity needs to be stopped, and I think wellness is well due in apartments, in homeless situations, and on the streets. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Marion Pridgeon, and I reside at 1307 Alamo Avenue in the city of Kalamazoo. I've been a 35-year resident of the Douglas neighborhood. In response to the Station 5 Community Center, the original intent of this facility was to be a community center available for use by the Douglas, Stewart, and Northside neighborhoods, in addition to use by the Parks and Recreation Department. Currently, there is a $50 per hour rental fee for any neighborhood interested party in using this facility. Neighborhood observation is that this facility has little use because of the rental fee being cost prohibitive to the neighborhood associations and other residents, and is currently being used only by Parks and Recreation for after-school programs. I am in favor of the renovations, making the bathroom ADA compliant and seeing public safety again utilize some of this space, as we desperately need increased police presence in this neighborhood. However, the city needs to reconsider its usage fee and allow the neighborhood associations to use this facility as needed, free of charge. We fully understand that the city will continue to make decisions without consulting or communicating with parties directly adjacent to this facility. It is unfortunate that the city continues to hinder those working hard to better the quality of life in this area. The City Commission has previously stated that they are all in favor of the neighborhoods, but it is obvious they do not support all neighborhoods equally. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Brandy Crawford, and I am a city tax-paying resident in the Douglas neighborhood. I agree with the previous resident. Some of the funds that were utilized to rehabilitate the fire station were actually from the CDGB funds that were designated to our previous neighborhood known as West Douglas Fairmont. So I agree that we should be able to have our meetings there free of charge. I also think that we should have more after-school programs for our residents of the neighborhood. I spoke directly with a few people at the Kalamazoo and Parks department. They said that there's not enough neighborhood signups, but I believe that some of the kids just can't afford it, and I think that's why we don't have a lot of people using the fire station for the Kalamazoo Parks and Recreation Department. I believe we should have more after-school programs for the kids. I think that will help deter some of the crime. Some of the kids are just bored, and I believe that's why they get involved in crime. I also believe that the X-Train, I know that everyone's trying their best to try to deal with this. I believe that we do need more police presence in our neighborhood because most of the X-Train is in the north side in the Douglas neighborhood. I believe that we should also get the street sweepers to be done every single Monday morning after this X-Train is gone through our neighborhood if we can't stop it, because all the people that use the X-Train, they throw glass bottles in the streets, and we have to, replace our tires. The kids are, playing in the streets with glass, and there's sometimes needles thrown in our yards from drugs, and I believe that maybe the street sweepers will at least help with that part of the problem. I know that you guys are trying your best to deal with all of this, but I would really appreciate if we could just get some more help maybe with cleaning up the neighborhood after this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Evans. I'm a resident of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm a senior, worked at General Motors for 32 years. I'm a retiree. I was interested in apartments that they're gonna put down there, and I talked to her already, so I don't need to talk about that because I want one too. In 2 years, I'm ready. I'm ready. And I don't know if I'm out of line with this, but the building that they're doing there on Douglas, I want a job there. I told them that some of the older seniors in the area would like to go in and help. And they get the young people from Boys Club and stuff, and they do it. They need some young, older people who can help the community and help the young kids. We just have a different perspective, and we work with them every day. So we want to be able to be in the building too, and don't eliminate us. We're not that old. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dorothy Appleyard, and I live in the city of Kalamazoo. We relocated here just over a year ago, and I was somewhat reluctant at the time to do that, and my concern was water quality. And I'm more concerned today than I was at that time. And I guess I'm asking the commission to make it a really high priority, whether and do whatever it takes, whether it's amending budgets or shifting priorities. But I think the finest thing you could do for this community is to ensure that there's safe, healthy drinking water in every neighborhood in the city. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wanting to address the commission this evening? Seeing no one, we are commissioners' comments. Commissioner Sykes.
Yeah, so real quick, Mayor Hopewell, I know you normally do this anyway, but so I'll wait until your comments, but I'm wondering if we can hear something back on the cost of building use, and just sort of where we are with our communications with the folks that are working to establish the Douglas Neighborhood Association, just where we are in that communication. And then I know Parks and Rec, I know part of the programming is meant to be multi-generational. I believe, I don't see, maybe I do see Sean Fletcher back there. You just give me a quick nod if I'm on the right track? Yes, perfect, awesome. So I wonder if, Sean, you could get in touch with, perfect, all right, we're good. Yeah, so I'm just wondering if either after this or as Bobby closes out, some comments on where we're at with that conversation and cost of building use and all of that.
Yeah, we'll follow up later.
Perfect.
With that. Need more information from staff.
Perfect, awesome. Well, I don't have much else to say other than congratulations to the Black Arts and Cultural Center for another fabulous Black Arts Festival. Me and the family had a great time yesterday, or not yesterday, sorry, on Saturday. And I never miss how valuable it is to them as they grow in this community to see themselves and their culture represented in our city in a festival. They run all over as if everybody there is their family, which they are. And it's a really beautiful thing. So thank you for that. And that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Cooney.
Well, I just want to echo Commissioner Sykes' words. Congratulations to the Black Arts and Cultural Center and Yolanda Lavender and all the people that work with her for a terrific Black Arts Festival. They did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Commissioner Urban. Vice Mayor.
Sure, perhaps I'm ranting in a bubble tonight, but as the pastor who kind of kicked off tonight's meeting had suggested what went down in Finland today, I keep finding myself asking myself or talking in my own bubble about when is enough is enough. We, for the last 18 months, have watched our president destroy our civil rights, harm the environment, attack our international allies. He's playing chicken with our economy with this trade war. And I thought the breaking point would be when we started separating families. I really thought that we could all coalesce around that. But I was wrong. And so for those that are listening, this meeting tonight, is today enough for those hardcore Republicans that are Reagan supporters that when I was growing up, I was supposed to be scared of Russia. And our president today put Russia over the United States. He doubted our intelligence. He stood with the Russian president at a press conference and absolutely undermined our system and the fact that Russia hacked our 2016 election. We know that they're meddling in the 2018 election. So to the Republican residents here in the county and the city, is today finally enough? Because I am sick and tired of it. Thank you.
Wow, I must have missed the entire news cycle today because
it was pretty dreadful.
Holy Toledo. Wow. Okay. I guess I gotta, my phone's missing, so I missed everything. I'll have to try to breathe through this tomorrow. One of the things I will say tonight, and I appreciate people coming before us and speaking your truth and speaking. But when and I've had a habit of doing this, when this commission gets attacked about something that is blatantly not true, you can have your perspective on what you think we believe regarding neighborhoods. For years, we've sat and supported neighborhoods, and we've helped move organizations forward. We also vet folks. We also ensure that everything is kosher with everything that's going on. You know, I've had individuals, friends that have served on neighborhood associations, recently those that are trying to reestablish themselves and have disappeared from those because of the nature of how they've been dealt with. We believe in all our neighborhoods. We are not going to, the police, our chief of public safety there's no way we're going to have 90 officers to be able to stop every single thing that happens. I've ridden along. Yes, the X train is a problem in all our neighborhoods, not just one of our neighborhoods. And we're doing all that we can. We are not a community that can afford to have an officer at every corner. It's just not going to happen. And we're never going to be able to control knuckleheads doing knucklehead things. But we will impact, we will respond, we will do proactive intelligence, which they're doing. But these problems aren't simple ones. It's sort of like saying we should have no guns, we gotta stop gun violence. We're working on it, but I can never control when someone reaches in their pocket or pulls out of their car a gun and decides to fire that and shoot someone. Can't do that. We had a couple of those where it was crazy this weekend in regards to certain things that were happening. We are working every day to try to find solutions to the challenges that we face. We are also not going to be a body or a city that dives in just because everyone has a belief of where they are and what they're doing. You're great and wonderful, but we can't support everything that's going on, especially if some things are in question. Can't do it. Can't do it. But every day, you folks get up trying to figure out a path forward for this city. Every day, you work to ensure that our neighborhoods are better, whether through our neighborhood associations, or through our work of our officers, or our housing folks. And I'd love to have thousands of people to do that work. We just don't have that. But we're going to continue to drive our vision. We're going to continue to drive our mission. We're going to continue to work on shared prosperity and all the other priorities of our city. And we want everyone to be a part of that. The chief, you have what, 22 officers on during a general shift somewhere in there? So that's 44 eyes. There are 74,000 of us that live in this city. Multiply that and all those eyes. This is a work together. We're going to work together with people, but we're not going to be able to do everything everyone wants us to do. It's just not possible. Just not possible. Unless you're telling me it is, I don't know how that works. So I just needed to make that comment, and we are adjourned.